Hello, class. Welcome to lesson 11. Miss Armstrong here. I hope everybody's having a good week. Once again, if there's any time if there's anything wrong, please let me know. That's basically the only drawback to having these online classes is that I'm not there seeing you guys once or twice a week. So I can't look at anybody and see, oh wow, this person's not feeling great. So let me know what's going on if you need help. Um, but everyone, you've been doing a really good job of keeping up with everything. By the end of this week, your grades should be updated in the grade center. And let's get into it. This week, we're going to be going over a little bit of typography. As you excel in your classes, you're going to be learning more about typography and how it has its hold on graphic design. We use text for basically everything, from texting to blogs to novels. We write a lot. Some of you guys might not know the proper names used in everyday typography. We're going to go into a little bit of depth today. But unless you are going to be studying InDesign more thoroughly, we won't be doing anything too deep. But first, let's go ahead and define typography as it is in the art world. Typography is the art and technique of arranging type to make the language legible, readable, and appealing when displayed. As I said before, in the Adobe Suite, InDesign is going to be the program that you really look at for when it comes to writing. Now, other programs such as Illustrator and Photoshop and even Premiere do use typing tools, but it's like using an art tool, a paintbrush to write with. You can write with it, but you're going to get more out of a typewriter than as a paintbrush. You understand? So if you are in the business of writing novels, or you're going to be in the business of making posters, or in the business of making logos, you're going to want to learn InDesign. And thankfully, the Adobe Suite is smart enough that if you learn Illustrator, there's going to be things that you've learned in Illustrator that will be relevant in Photoshop, and things in Photoshop that will be relevant in InDesign. So thankfully, a lot of this stuff holds hands, so you won't be learning blind. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and start breaking down some simple concepts in typography. Let's start talking about typeface. Typeface is the shape of the letters, your design in lettering. These days, with a simple click of a button, you can go into any sort of writing program and see all these different typefaces, or fonts, as it were. Typeface and font. The words typeface and font are often interchangeable in our field, but they don't necessarily mean the same thing. The word font is actually older than the word typeface. Font is when we used to use typewriters, and they would use the word font to describe that. Now, typeface is used to describe not just the letters the letters or the characters that are going down, but the spacing and the kerning and the lettering that's going on as well. But since font was first, both of those words get used interchangeably. But today we're going to be looking at some examples of typeface, and just here you can see we have the typeface Times New Roman and the typeface Calibri. And already you can see a difference in design with how typeface New Roman is written. It's got more of those pretty little thin edges all over the place, while Calibri is more rounded. And you'll notice that every single font or typeface has its own design, and each design can say something different. Like Calibri is more casual than typeface New Roman. And I believe, at least when I was coming through school, they had us write everything in Times New Roman, because it was more, I suppose, intellectual, as opposed to Calibri, which is dressed down. It's more casual than its friend over here. Let's go ahead and stick with our Calibri example, though, and let's start talking about typeface families. Now, every typeface has its own family, and its family is going to be using the same type of typeface, but it's going to have different emphases on it. Like, let's say we're using Calibri, but we're going to put an italic on it, or a bold on it, or the combination of the bold and the italic. All of those ones that are using the same font are part of the same family, the same type family. So it can be bold italic, or even just the regular one as it comes. And some type families might be bigger than others, but this is a simple type family. It's usually just consists of the four. Underlining is not necessarily part of the type family. I believe that's just considered an emphasis, but that's up in the air. So moving onward, you guys probably also have heard of the terms kerning and leading. Kerning refers to the space between individual characters in a single word. Now, character here refers to the letter, one letter in this single word. So kerning is that space in between these individual characters. And I'm going to throw up an image here to give you guys a good example about what kerning is. Now, you'll notice in this picture how the individual letters of the top sentence seem a bit off. The kerning here is incorrect. It's too spread out. And in a program like InDesign, you'll have more options of how to fix it as opposed to a program like Word or actually no, I think Photoshop, as opposed to a program like Word, because InDesign is going to give you more of the ability to design your words. And in fact, it'll give you more of the option to make your words look more and more like a drawing as opposed to just, basic literature. So, yeah. Let's move on to leading. And leading is going to be the space between your lines. Just you see in this image here. Depending on your fancy font or any type of typeface that you might be working with, you are going to want to make sure that there's space between these words, or maybe not, depending on what your design is. Sometimes a tight leading or a loose leading may be necessary. It all depends on your project at the time. So nowadays, as I said in the beginning, we have several hundred thousands of different typefaces at your disposal. And as you go and evolve into different classes, as you go and excel and graduate into other classes, you'll learn how these things work. For now, we're going to go back into our colors and how that works with design, and how our words can be just as important as any other illustration on the page. Your words can tell stories in themselves with the right type of illustration that you put along with it. You don't also when you write, you don't want your words to get lost in the sea of colors behind it. So be aware of using analogous colors with your font. Usually writing needs to be seen, so you're going to want to use white, black, or a contrasting color with a hue or with a tint on it, with a tint or shade on it to make it really pop, or maybe even a drop shadow. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys some mistakes with fonts. just a couple. We'll be going more into that next week, but this week for homework, we're going to deviate from the syllabus just a little bit. You're going to find a book or a comic or a game cover, and you're going to tell the class about the font of it. You are going to tell us if you think that the font did a solid job explaining the subject. Do the colors chosen on the font help illustrate the point, or is the font lost on the design color? And then you're also going to tell us about the subject of your book or comic or game cover. We might not everybody in the class might know what you're talking about, so make sure you explain yourself thoroughly. When you're done, submit your work into Blackboard, into the discussion board, and I'm interested to see what you guys are going to pick for your explanations. Next week, the video will drop on Tuesday. I hope everybody is out there being safe and sound and enjoying their week to the best of their ability. And I will see you guys again soon. Miss Armstrong out. Bye.